Rick Wolf with Soul Survivor Outdoor, and I'm meeting with Tony Smit, our area director from Texas. But before we get started with our conversation, and Tony, thanks for getting up at the crack of dawn this morning and coming in from Austin. That's outstanding. So Soul Survivor Outdoor, we are an outdoor adventure company, and we focus entirely on active duty military. So we're serving them through Christ-centered outdoor adventure. And the audience that we're in front of on most days is typically 18 to 25 or 6 years old. So young people serving in our military and deploying all over the world. And Tony leads our program in Texas. So Tony, welcome to California, Carlsbad. Great having you here.
Well, hey, it's great to be back.
We want to talk to you a little bit about what's going on in Texas and maybe go back, because we've been 2020 was when we actually started doing programs in Texas. So talk to us about how that started and where the whole thing initiated working in Texas.
Well, it initiated, of course, with you, Rick. And I think your amazing vision for being across this country, influencing the spiritual fitness of our active duty service members, making them more capable for their commanding officers and for the mission that this country has for them. And I think it really started when you took me fly fishing. You really opened something up in my heart.
Yeah.
As I've said before, you got me off the couch.
Right.
And from what was a comfort zone and out fly fishing. And that was a just amazing experience for me that I know changed my trajectory and where I was with Christ in my life. And really focused me that was a heck of a lot more important than some of the other things I was doing in life. So I think that was when you mentioned, hey, you're in Texas now. We got Fort Hood right up the street from you, 45 minutes away. Right. And I was on fire, went up there, talked to a couple of people, ended up finding the garrison chaplain, thought he'd call me back.
Right.
Didn't happen. And you fast forward just a short period of time to about the middle of 2020 as COVID's hitting.
Right.
And you're like, we got to get something going in Texas. Let's get this going. You came out, we had a couple of visits, and I would say for the heavy lifting items that I've done as a Marine, that I've done in my own life, this was such a light load, and it went so quick and so easy that it was near miracle for me in my life that how fast we got off the ground. And September 11th, 2020, we had the 717th Air Cavalry with Chaplain Karen Moore, and just a phenomenal event to kick things off. And we've been doing them there ever since.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing because people were asking us in 2020, their expectation if they would see us, they would say, "So you guys are shut down, right?" And we'd say, "No, actually, we're growing. We've actually done things in Texas. We're doing some stuff in South Carolina, and Texas was so instrumental in the fact that you just really grabbed the bull by the horns, so to speak, which is probably a perfect metaphor for Texas. But you went to that event in Mammoth, California, and we did some fly fishing and around John Eldridge's book, Wild at Heart, and we were just challenging everybody. And you said, "Man, why aren't we doing this in Texas?" And so I know you went back. You were super excited about that, and COVID and the crazy year that was created this amazing opportunity. And we were able to make some great connections there. Now you've hosted hundreds. Maybe you've hosted 1,000 service members there in Texas, and you've jumped around the country a little bit. You've been with us to Idaho and all of that. So, you mentioned just as you were opening how that has impacted you with your own faith. So maybe can you dive into that a little bit about, we're focusing on the active duty community and we want to share Christ with them. But how has that impacted you personally? Maybe you want to share a little bit more about that.
I think it's like a lot of things in our life. What is in the forefront, what's right in front of us every day, tends to have a lot more of our attention. And now that I'm in ministry and focused on bringing Christ to people who either have gone away or have never been there, I've got to look at myself and my walk and I've got to strengthen that every day. But it's so front and center for me, and I know that it's impacting my family as well because my kids are just on fire. My wife is absolutely in love with what we're doing. That didn't come easy. It didn't come right away. There's, of course, I think a concern that, what is it that you're getting into and where is it going to take the family? But she's come completely alongside in this journey. And we actually got her out to an event for the first time this past Friday for a horseback ride. She managed to make it out there for a few hours, which was absolutely great. To finally have her experience with us a little bit of what we do.
Well, the Smits, you guys are an amazing family. You have some adopted children that have very significant medical-related needs, and you guys have that. That's your first ministry, and I know that Jennifer, is homeschooling and providing, really high level of care to those kids, and then you have children that that you had before you had adopted children, and so you have a busy family, and so even having you here today, we know that can be a stretch because not only are you a dad and a husband and a care provider to your kids, but also you're running this ministry in Texas and just making it happen. And so we're blown away by who you are and your family, and you're just a great example, frankly, to the rest of us because what you do on a day-to-day basis, just with the high medical need kids that you've adopted, I mean, that blows the rest of us away. And so maybe talk a little bit about how your family dynamic has shaped you and how God's maybe used that in your life too, because I think your ability to relate to people has been shaped by that as well. Maybe you have some thoughts on that?
So for Jennifer and I, when we first had kids, of course, there was some medical issues with Jennifer in having kids. So we were told, let's not do that anymore. So we looked towards adoption. And the best way to do that was through fostering children that needed homes. And so we started doing that, I think, right after I got back from a tour to Afghanistan. And Blake came to live with us. And Blake pretty quickly showed that he had some special needs that we were going to have to focus on. And Jennifer's great at that kind of stuff, at finding the right care, the right people to help us in that walk. And it's truly a gift of hers. So as we did that, we were also doing foster care for other kids while we're, now 5 kids, probably 2 dogs, 3 dogs running around in a 3-bedroom house that's maybe 1,800 square feet, but has a huge yard. That was great until we had this experience with rattlesnakes that just, because we were right on.
This was in California, right?
This was in California, right on the border of Camp Pendleton. And my wife, as I got orders to go to Okinawa, Japan by myself without the family because of our needs, she's like, we've got to move first. And I think there was just this overwhelming, we've got to get this done. And we sat with our realtor and went over what we needed to purchase a house, move away from where we were, and we couldn't find anything. We probably looked for 3 or 4 months. As we're looking, the frustration's starting to come. And I know I was frustrated, and I know Jennifer was frustrated. And, just amazing. Our realtor sat down and said, we probably need to give this to God. And I was like, that's probably the only answer at that moment. Because I was 60 days from orders to Japan. Wouldn't be there to move the family, sign documents, do any of that stuff. So we sat down and we prayed. It was about 2 days later, Jen calls and says, hey, Diana just called and said she's got a house for us to look at. And she gave me the address, and right off the bat, that house, we can't afford that house. That's out of our price range.
Right.
We can't stretch too much. And Jen's like, no, let's go look at it. They said, just make an offer. So we did. We look at this beautiful house. And I was like, what's the catch? What's the catch?
Right.
So we gave the offer of the most we could pay. And it was probably $50,000 less than the house was worth. And our realtor called and said, she was like, they accepted. They are so excited about this. I'm like, wait, what am I missing here?
Wow.
There's got to be something that I'm missing because this is a gift from God. And it turns out that it was 4 Marines who'd all been wounded, who were all going through family separations and all kinds of issues, who had invested in this house. And they needed out now. And for that to come 2 days after our prayer, we're just in awe of God and what he's provided for us at every step of the way. And I think it was well before that, but that really just resonated with me and Jennifer, that was a ministry for us to be doing foster care, to be providing children, whether they went back to their parents, they went somewhere else to be adopted. Right. We're providing them a snapshot of what God's love is. And that was really helpful for Jennifer to keep going even while I was in Japan. And then we had Blake already, and then JoJo and Sydney came to live with us at that point.
Well, so we talk a lot about, Jesus talked about the wise person building their house on a firm foundation, on the rock, listening to what he said, building their house there. And that when the storms come, because you were facing some storms, it's not, a lot of military people are out there. They say, well, there are certain kinds of challenges that I didn't face, and they tend to minimize them because it's like, well, that wasn't a combat experience. But boy, we had to move right in the middle of, my wife just gave birth 3 days before, and now we got to move the next day, or who knows what, permanent change of station and going somewhere else. The challenges that we face and everything, like how do we bounce back from that? And you've had that experience where, that you say, well, what does fostering children have to do with the military? Well, what it has to do with the military is it's part of life. It's what you are doing. It's, as you mentioned, it's part of your ministry, things that God specifically called you to, and you have some gifting in that area. But it creates certain challenges with it as well. So then how do you weather that storm? And who is it that you rely on? And the Marine Corps has an anchor as part of what we wear on our collars, and so so God is our anchor, and so here's God helping you weather that storm. He's called you to that, but He hasn't left you alone, and so we share that at our events and talk about if you're wise, then you'll hear what Christ has to say and build your house on that foundation. And when the trials come, whether that's marital difficulties or something, or a combat experience, God's in the middle of that with you. And if you're not so wise, you're going to build what Jesus said was a sandy foundation. And then when the storms and trials come, you just get blown away, you get wiped out. And so, so your own personal experience speaks to that. What happens when you just share life and here's what's happening at home, here's the stuff I've dealt with in the military. What's the response you're getting from these young people when you're just being real, you're being transparent and authentic with them about your story? How do they react to that?
Well, I think all of us are looking for that story, right? Mm-hmm. We're glued to the media. We're glued to TV. We're glued to books, anywhere that we can get a story. And in that story, we're looking for kind of the hero, and that he's up against some sort of an obstacle, right? So life is good, something bad happens, the hero steps in and makes everything better. I don't think in my story I'm the hero that makes everything better, but it resonates with people because the hero's Jesus.
Right.
And in those long, dark walks back, that's where finally in your life you turn and say, I surrender to the true hero that's already won the war.
Yeah.
And that resonates with people.
Well, we share our stories. We tell them a little bit about our military background, hopefully to earn the opportunity or the right to be heard. usually followed by a horseback ride or rock climbing or jumping out of a plane or doing something that's fun and engaging. And then we sit down with Bombs Away Barbecue from Raul in Texas, and we have some really amazing barbecue. And then you or Rick Cotto or someone else shares just who they are and the challenges they've had. And yeah, that Christ is our hero, that Christ is our foundation. These service members who are young, who haven't heard a lot of this, some come from churched backgrounds, but probably these days most don't. And so they are very curious about what we're talking about. And then we're very deliberate about delivering that message that you are not a random, you're not randomly here. You're not even here at this event today by accident. God brought you here to this event. God has a plan and a purpose for you. God came and died for you. He's on a rescue mission for you and cares about them, has a plan and purpose for their life. And that's being exemplified and spoken to when our team members share at these events. And it's changing lives. It's having a huge impact on them today and as they walk life out in the future. So again, Tony, thanks for being here this morning.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Rick.